Hi there, let's create this effect smiley face. Let's get started. First, press a then X and delete everything. Click Shift plus A. Then let's add a plane as the ground. Then, in this tutorial I will use Botanic add-on for flowers and pot. So you can download it from Blender Market. Link in description. Let's spawn pot and. If you don't have this add-on, don't worry since you can follow this tutorial as well because the concept anyways we need the grasses and you can apply these concepts on any object. And put them within the pot. Just a matter of arranging them and duplicating them. This is just to create a simple scene, it doesn't matter that much. If you don't have this add-on, don't worry, you can follow this tutorial. The matter is just having a concept of what is going on. And I plan to upload another tutorial for complete beginners, for those who don't have this add, or who feel uncomfortable with these too many things in the same scene like these grasses. So you can follow along to in the next detailed tutorial which I'll release soon. The concepts in the next tutorial will be more detailed because these concepts are actually complicated for starters. And the coverage on the next tutorial, we will dive more deeper in these geometry nodes. So let's split the screen into two windows. One for the viewport and the other for geometry. Node editor, press and then select the pot. And click new, this will add a new node tree. Because we need some flowers on top of this pot. We need to add a flower that will be distributed on top of this pot. This one. This is the flower I choose to be affected by proximities and to be on top of this on this pot. So in here you must put the flower within the node system to be affected by proximity effect. And because we need these flowers to be distributed on top of this pot, we need to add the instance on points node, which will be points on the pot. We cannot connect these directly because these are two different geometers, so we need to join them. By this join geometry node to get connected here. So for the instances we need this flower as the instance. This flower is our instance to be affected by the proximity. We need to select it from outliner, drag it and drop it to this node tree system. You can see as soon as we put it as an instance, it appears on top of this pot but as instances of original flower. So we need to add the proximity node here, which will connect with the sphere to affect the flowers. So select the sphere, This one, drag it and drop it to a node tree, node system. Anything out of node systems cannot affect something in node system. So everything need to be included for this to work. You each can select the pot. Then connect the distance to the scale, because we want this proximity to affect the scale of these brows, depending on the distance of it, so make it relative. Because otherwise this will not work properly, so make it relative. You can see the effect. Right, but the effect is not well defined. So we need to be much more specific on our nodes, because we want it to affect the only on z-axis. So we need the map range node. This will create a range for the effect. So there are different values here, but the matter is to play with them differently to get different impacts, because we cannot use the same values to get this effect. Maybe you can try. So we need to play around with these values and to see which looks better for you. So you can tweak these, but to max value set it to 0. It looks perfect. You can scale out and in. You can see it take the effects. Then what we need again, we can add math node to amplify the effect of this proximity node. There are different math functions here, but we set multiply value. It means that the input from proximity node will be multiplied by the value we set. So you can see the effect when we increase the value for multiplying. The effect will be much more high. The output from proximity node will play with these values and see what looks nicer to you. Again, we need to be specific on what axis do we need to scale the instance flower, either X, Y, or Z. But because we need flowers to be affected in Z axis, then we need to connect these separate, which will separate the input from the map range node. So you can see if you play with this, and you can get different effects. So it's just a matter of playing with these values and see how it affects the scene of our scene. This sphere acts as a controller for this proximity effect. By turning on clamp, you can make the variation of how the proximity effect is distributed. So we can play with these nodes, and by duplicating them and trying different value. So you can multiply, divide, add. Just try and see the effect. The effect is what matters. These math nodes gives you the wide range of controlling the effect. That's why I used a map range node. And multiple math nodes. Test and experiment with different values on each node. So test the value and see where the effect is. So we can also control the rotation of these flowers by connecting this node to the rotation. But we want the rotation to be more random. So we connected this random value node. You can see the flowers are much more randomized. See? So not only is this care, but also some rotation of this flowers is affected. So it is a matter of these values. So these are all not nodes we have. And they give out the effects. So just analyze them and try. Try different values, different math nodes, along with math functions, to see how they affect your scene. This is our whole map of our nodes. Basically, they are full of math nodes because math nodes. They give us much more control for this effect. So it's just you playing with these nodes and values, and applying different math functions in math node, to see how they affect your scene, the effect overall. Also, we can add a transform geometry here to control these instances, their rotations, their scale, and their translation. So with this you must know, you have much more control with everything. So I can play around with these values and see how they affect my scene, how they affect my instances. Sometimes you can see this. This effect is out from pot. So if you don't like that, you can separate the section that you want from that pot for the flowers to be. Okay, here you can select the pot and go to edit mode. I click Shift plus H to hide everything, except what I selected. So go to edit mode, top view. Select the section that you want to add flowers. Then separate by selection. This will make two separate parts of the pot. The outer and the inner, that's a soil, I can say. So you needed to delete these geometry nodes. I can say a pot. And leave the soil with nodes. So by controlling these values, you get different effects. You can animate this as sphere to get an animation. So if you complete set up your nodes, can create an animation ready to be rendered. That's all for today, so see you in the next one. You can also hide this sphere by going to make it not visible in viewport. You can click show and renders to or disable it. So that's all for today, see you in the next one.